Good afternoon. I've just discovered the program called ManyCam, so I'm really excited to use it. I've never used it before. I've never done a video type blog before. So I wanted to try, see how it worked, see how it went, and hopefully you'll enjoy the experience as much as I am, or I will be. Um, I was trying to think, what can I talk about on this blog because, generally people have something to talk about on these things. And I thought, well, what better to do a blog post on than one of my fellow bloggers, Alicia Kritzinger. She wrote a really awesome article called Howard, How Does Your Garden Grow? And you can find that on Toolbox Ed. Really great blog. And basically, her blog article was about Howard Gardner and his 7 different types of intelligences, and how we need to use this to understand that everyone has different types of things that they're good at, and as Mr. Gardner would say, different types of intelligences. And we need to think of how we can actually incorporate this in our classrooms and not just assume that the intelligent people are intelligent and the people who aren't necessarily intelligent are just stupid and we should just leave them by the wayside. They have strengths in other areas and we're just not testing them. So what I thought, well, I don't know if everyone knows exactly what the 7 different types of intelligence are. So I dug out my first year psychology textbook called Introduction to Psychology. Let's get a good view there. Okay. And I thought I'd do a bit of a book reading. I don't know if people do that. I thought I'd try. Maybe you guys like it, maybe you don't. Let me know. So I'm going to be doing a reading. Basically, his theory falls under the eclectic theories of intelligence, and it's called the multiple intelligence theory. So I'm going to read his definition of intelligence, then I'm going to read the different types of intelligences, and then I'm going to tell you more or less what each one is. So yeah, here it goes. He defines intelligence as the ability to solve or create products that are valued within one or more cultural setting. And I thought that the idea that it's a cultural construct, intelligence is a cultural construct, is quite an interesting idea, because then that means that something that we consider intelligent is not necessarily considered intelligent in other cultures. I think that's quite important for teachers in South Africa to know, because we're basically teaching in a cultural mixing pot where you've got a whole lot of different languages and cultures and religions and people in general all coming together in one classroom, and you sort of just have to take into account that everyone's different. And yeah, like he says, intelligence is, yeah, cultural construct. Different cultures view different things as intelligence. Yeah, so let's go on to the 7 different types. So these are the 7 core intelligences. He actually added an 8th one later on, but that's a bit of a I don't want to say contentious issue, but it's not quite certain whether that is or isn't intelligence or a type of intelligence, but I'll get to that later. So the first one is linguistic, um, and that is basically, languages and things like that. And then you get logical, mathematical, and that's pretty self-explanatory. It's just using logic and mathematics. And those are the 2 main ones that we test in school at the moment. Then you get spatial, musical, bodily kinesthetic, interpersonal, and intrapersonal. And then the one that he added later on in 1999 was naturalistic intelligence. So, yeah, the musical intelligence basically involves operations such as pitch, rhythm, timbre, and the ability to understand and manipulate musical symbols. So I think that's the one that Alicia spoke about in her article. She suggested having a music room, and she actually quoted or shared a link for another blog where they showed how something like this can work. Then you get bodily kinesthetic, which involves the abilities to use skilled movements such as dancing or athletics. And I think that is one of our most underrated intelligences at the moment. It's, yes, sure, we have sports in school and all that, but the people who do well at sports are not necessarily viewed as intelligent. And I've seen where people, they do shockingly at school, but yet you give them any sort of ball, they've never tried this sport before, it's completely obscure, and they will completely annihilate the opposition. And they are utterly amazing, but they try, or society tries rather, to force them into this mainstream schooling, and eventually they'll be forced into a mainstream job, and they'll never excel, and they'll never, I would say they'll never be happy, but they won't enjoy what they're doing. And then you see some people who actually realize that they're never going to be good at these mainstream things, and they go into things like a trade like woodwork or welding or something like that, or they become professional sports stars, and you actually see them, their whole being comes alive, and you can see that, they're actually quite an intelligent, well-rounded human being, but they just weren't given the chance in school. I think, yeah, I think I must just reiterate the fact that we need to sort of bring this into our activities at school. Maybe give them a chance. So yes, maybe they have to write essays, but when they do orals, allow them to move about. When they're doing tasks in day-to-day school, or yeah, day-to-day schooling times, they must just, yeah, move about, and I don't know, do their assignments through interpretive dance or something. I know that sounds silly, but we really need to try find a way for them to have fun. Then you get the interpersonal intelligence, which is understanding the relationships between others and just understanding others in general. I think this is quite an interesting one. It might be quite difficult to test in schools, but maybe you could do some sort of community interaction, and or yeah, I don't really, yeah, or just, give awards for people who just show caring for other people and things like that. Then you get interpersonal intelligence, which refers to the person's ability to understand and have insight into his or her own behavior. So that's just knowing yourself. I think this could come in once you've done a task, you do something called reflection, whereas you look back um, on your performance and you sort of evaluate yourself. I think that could be a place where these type of people can excel. And then naturalistic intelligence refers to a great connectivity with nature and the ability to grow things, interact with animals, and the capacity to recognize and classify different species. Later, they sort of argued that this was more of an interest than an intelligence. And it's sort of, yeah, I don't, as far as I'm aware, it hasn't really been decided whether it's one or the other. If you know, please let me know. Yeah, I'm really interested to find out. So yeah, that's the 7 different types of intelligences. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, please let me know how you think that we can incorporate them into our schools, if you think we need to incorporate them into our schools. I hope you had fun. I know I did. And have a wonderful day further. Bye bye.